Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. After the victory of the anti-Japanese war, I ascended the throne and proclaimed myself emperor in the Golden Triangle in August 1945, after a comprehensive victory in the War of Resistance against Japan. Xia Zheng, as a traveler, was promoted from platoon leader to commander of the 53rd Army of the Yunnan Army. He represented the Yunnan Army to Annam to accept the surrender of the Little Devils and unexpectedly awakened the divine-level territorial system. Xia Zheng was well aware of historical development and decided to lead the 53rd Army to the Golden Triangle to develop independently, in order to avoid targeting his fellow countrymen at gunpoint and to avoid experiencing turmoil for 10 years. Within a month, Xia Zheng bloodily cleared the entire Golden Triangle of drug lords and warlords. For over a year, Xia Zheng has transformed the Golden Triangle into a bustling place, living and working in peace and contentment. On January 1, 1947, under the promotion of his subordinates, Xia Zheng ascended the throne and proclaimed himself emperor in the Golden Triangle, establishing the Great Xia Empire, with Xia Zheng as the Great Emperor of Xia. Under the influence of the divine-level territorial system, a massive power rapidly emerged. Eagle sauce. I admit that the Great Xia Empire is the world hegemon. Mao Xiongguo. The area of the Great Xia Empire is even larger than mine. Great Britain. This is the true empire where the sun never sets. Bald. Emperor Xia, I have been defeated in battle. Can you take me in? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. After the victory of the anti-Japanese war, I became the commander of the Yunnan Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia is a country that has emerged from the smoke of modern history and achieved transformation. In 1840, the British government launched the Opium War on the pretext of Lin Zexu's human-destructed opium sales and other affairs. In the end, the Opium War ended in the failure of China and the cession of land with reparations. At that time, the Qing dynasty also signed the first unequal treaty in Chinese history that humiliated the country. At this point, the Qing dynasty began to fall into a semi-colonial and semi-feudal state, constantly making reparations and ceding territories, completely becoming a fish and meat in the mouths of foreign powers. January 1, 1912. The Republic of China was declared established in Jinling. On February 12, Yuan Dadu forced Emperor Puyi of Xiantong to announce a decree of abdication and handed over power to the Yuan Dada government. Thus, the complete downfall of the Qing dynasty also marked the complete end of the feudal dynasty's rule. September 18, 1931, was a day recorded in history. On this day, the Japanese army deliberately launched a war of aggression against China. The war broke out and the three eastern provinces fell into the hands of the Japanese Guangdong Army. Faced with the invasion of the Little Devils, the captured people of northeast China and the remaining northeast military headquarters organized anti-Japanese volunteer armies to continue resisting the Japanese invasion. On the night of July 7, 1937, the Little Devils stationed at Lugo Bridge conducted so-called military exercises near the station positions without notifying the telephone authorities. The Little Devil first falsely claimed that a Japanese soldier was missing and requested to enter Wanping County in the southwest direction of Beiping for a search. This request was directly rejected by the station troops at the time. Immediately after, the Little Devils began to launch attacks on Wanping County and Lugo Bridge. The 219th Regiment of the 37th Division of the 29th Army stationed at Lugo Bridge rose up to counterattack and engaged in stubborn resistance. The July 7 incident officially marked the beginning of the National War of Resistance against Japan. On September 1, 1939, the German Empire launched an attack on Poland, followed by a declaration of war by Britain and France against Germany, marking the outbreak of the Second World War. On the morning of December 7, 1941, The Japanese Navy's aircraft carrier planes and micro-submarines suddenly launched a surprise attack on the Pacific Fleet of the Eagle Sauce Navy. The Eagle Sauce Naval Base in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor, and the Eagle Sauce Army and Navy airfields on Oahu Island were successively severely damaged. The Eagle Sauce Pacific Fleet suffered heavy losses. Eagle Sauce joined the war, and the Pacific War broke out as a result. In 1945, the Japanese Army officially accepted unconditional surrender. This declares that the war of resistance against Japan has finally come to an end. August 18, 1945. The Supreme Commander of the Huaxia Theater Command, bald-headed, ordered the expansion of the 1st Group Army stationed in Yunnan into the 1st Front Army, which includes the 60th, 93rd, and 53rd Armies, totaling more than 100,000 personnel. The former Commander-in-Chief of the 1st Army Group, Lu Han, was appointed as the Commander-in-Chief of the 1st Front Army. On the evening of September 8, 1945, over 100,000 soldiers of the 1st Front Army, under the unified dispatch of Lu Han, began to move closer to the northern part of Annam. Since the Japanese Army began invading Annam, all transportation routes along the border between China and Annam have been destroyed. So when the Yunnan Army entered Annam, they could only follow the abandoned roads that had been abandoned for many years. This kind of road can no longer be called a road, it has long been covered in thorns and overgrown with weeds. So when rushing, it is necessary to arrange for soldiers to use long knives to lead the way in front, and the accompanying troops to follow closely behind. Some places have even become swamps, plagued by mosquitoes and leeches. This harsh environment poses great obstacles and difficulties for the troops to complete their march. Just from Pingdian to the mouth of the river, the soldiers walked for a full 5 days. The commander of the 53rd Army, Xia Zheng, personally led the 53rd Army to Annam, preparing to accept the unconditional surrender of the Little Devils. After a long journey, Xia Zheng led the 53rd Army to Hanoi. Hanoi. Everyone has it, immediately move into various Japanese barracks, let the Japanese vacate all their barracks and hand over all their weapons and equipment. Xia Zheng ordered, still holding a list in his hand. If the Japanese army does not cooperate, they will be shot to death. Yes. After hearing Xia Zheng's orders, the soldiers of the 53rd Army immediately spoke in unison. The soldiers of the 53rd Army began their operations. The Little Devils in the military camp cooperated quite well and immediately began to hand over various weapons and equipment according to the instructions of the 53rd Army soldiers. The items on the list are even more abundant. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Annam accepts the surrender of the Little Devils. Raise your eyebrows. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Throughout the process, these Little Devils showed great respect and dared not regain their former prestige. If it weren't for being brutally beaten, how could these Little Devils easily agree to surrender unconditionally? They are completely scared of being beaten up, even if they want to be dishonest. Xia Zheng stood in the field, leaning on a long knife in his hand. At this moment, his gaze was extremely sharp, and his gaze towards these Little Devils was full of killing intent. Faced with Xia Zheng's gaze, these Little Devils acted honestly like sheep, completely following the instructions of the 53rd Army soldiers, and were placed under centralized supervision. Report to the military commander, all supplies have been received according to the types and quantities on the list, and all Japanese troops have been placed under centralized supervision. Please instruct. Jiang Qing quickly approached Xia Zheng and respectfully reported. Stand up to these Little Devils of dog days, don't let them run around aimlessly. Xia Zheng said in a deep voice. If they are still not honest, they will be directly executed in place. I understand. Jiang Qing suddenly grinned and understood Xia Zheng's meaning. After these Little Devils were placed under centralized supervision, not to mention weapons, they didn't even have a burning stick in their hands. And it is not allowed to leave the barracks without permission. The little devils who have lost their firearms and weapons are really not as good as ordinary people. They are now just like fish and meat on a chopping board. As for some scattered soldiers and wandering little devils in Hanoi, it is easy for them to be developed by the people of Annam and overseas Chinese. The result can be imagined. These little devils were directly surrounded and beaten by a group of people, and their attacks were very heavy. In just a little while, the little devil will be beaten up and his face will be bruised. Although these injuries may not be fatal, the pain is also true. September 28, 1945. The surrender ceremony of the Japanese army in Annam was officially held at the Governor-General's office in Annam. Please welcome Xia Zheng, the commander of the 53rd Army of the First Front Army of China, to enter. Listening to the loud voices in the hall, Xia Zheng walked into the hall, dressed in military uniform and walking with great strides. Everyone's gaze in the hall was focused on Xia Zheng. Xia Zheng, however, remained calm and composed as usual. Upon reaching the position of the head official, Xia Zheng sat down without hesitation. Here, this is his position. At exactly 10 o'clock in the morning. After removing all their equipment, the Japanese 38th Army commander, Yuichi Tsukubashi, Navy representative, Air Force representative, Chief of Staff, Kaneshiro Sakai, and Division Commander, Naoto Kawaguchi, a total of 6 Japanese officers, walked into the hall. Under Xia Zheng's gaze, these 6 little devilish officers dared not look up and confront Xia Zheng. Xia Zheng snorted coldly. These 6 little devilish officers were immediately frightened and trembled. The Japanese surrender ceremony officially began, with representatives of the Japanese army signing the surrender agreement. At this moment, the host of the ceremony spoke up. These 6 little devilish commanders immediately took a pen and signed the surrender letter one by one. I announced the cancellation of the Japanese 38th Army designation and immediate execution. Xia was watching as the 6 Japanese officers signed the surrender agreement and also issued the first training order. The entire surrender ceremony went very smoothly. After the surrender ceremony ends, Xia is currently in the temporary office of the Governor-General's office in Annam. Report to the military commander, the final statistical results of the number of Japanese troops and weapons and equipment we received during the surrender ceremony have been released. Jiang Qing reported to Xia Zhenghui. Xia Zhengduan sat behind his desk and whispered, "Speak up." During the surrender of Annam, we received more than 30,000 Japanese prisoners, fired 45,000 guns, 882 artillery pieces, and fired 140,000 shells. Jiangqing reported according to the statistical results of this incident. Well, there's not much difference in quantity compared to what we know, Xia Zheng nodded and responded. After finishing speaking, Xia Zheng suddenly looked at Jiangqing and said, "I plan to establish a war criminal management committee locally, specifically responsible for managing the war criminals here. What do you think?" "I think it's not bad. With this war criminals management committee, the Japanese army has also saved us from worrying about ourselves," Jiangqing said after thinking for a moment. "Okay, since that's the case, then I'll leave this matter to you." Xia Zheng arranged softly, communicate with the local government as soon as possible to implement the War Criminals Management Committee. "Yes, Commander." Upon hearing this, Jiangqing immediately took orders. With the efforts of Jiangqing, the War Criminals Management Committee was quickly established. This can also be considered as an institution dedicated to monitoring these surrendered Japanese prisoners of war. Not long after the establishment of the War Criminals Management Committee, Xia Zheng received a telegram from Lu Han. Commander Lu Han requested that our 53rd Army return to China as soon as possible and not stay here for too long, Jiangqing said to Xia Zheng with a telegram. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Xia Zheng's decision. Not returning to China. Divine level. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xia Zheng raised his eyebrows lightly upon hearing this and said, "Okay, I understand." You immediately replied, informing the commander.In.Chief that we have received the order to return to our country as quickly as possible. Okay, Jiang Qing took orders and then retreated. After Jiang Qing left, a complex and vicissitudes of emotions suddenly appeared in Xia Zheng's originally calm gaze. Returning to China. Xia Zheng murmured to himself, after returning to China, it should be followed by roommates fighting. Is it still impossible to avoid this battle of internal friction after all? It is obvious that Xia Zheng is not an ordinary person. In fact, Xia Zheng himself is a traveler, a person who has traveled from the future world. Before crossing over, Xia Zheng was a special forces instructor. It was only during an operation against foreign forces that unexpectedly crossed into the era of the anti-Japanese war in 1940. At that time, Xia Zheng was still a platoon leader of the Yunnan Army. No Chinese person can remain calm when facing the little devils in the anti-Japanese war. Not to mention that Xia Zheng is still a qualified soldier. After understanding his situation, Xia Zheng did not feel lost, but instead strengthened his beliefs in his heart. Afterwards, Xia Zheng relied on his excellent training methods and enemy-killing skills. In the War of Resistance against Japan, Xia Zheng killed countless enemies, and his troops almost became a nightmare for the little devils on the scene, making them tremble with fear. Afterwards, Xia Zheng's troops also participated in expeditionary operations, including bloody battles in the Wild Man's Valley, Death Jungle, and so on. In repeated battles, Xia Zheng has made remarkable military achievements and has become an idol admired by countless soldiers. With these military achievements and the abilities possessed by Xia Zheng himself, he was eventually promoted to become the commander of the 53rd Army. Nowadays, the total number of personnel in the 53rd Army is over 30,000, and its development is quite good. Because Xia is a traveler, he is very familiar with the development of history. He was well aware that after the end of the War of Resistance against Japan, China would face a war of internal strife among its comrades. As a soldier, Xia Zheng really doesn't want to aim his gun at his compatriots. Although Xia Zheng is also well aware that this is a process that Huaxia must go through in order to stand up. But he still instinctively resisted. Moreover, Xia Zheng was also aware that as a member of the senior ranks of the Yunnan Army, even if he defected to the 8th Route Army in the future due to battlefield uprisings, the ultimate result would probably be difficult to escape the turbulent decade. So after careful consideration, Xia Zheng finally decided. I won't go back. Xia Zheng took a deep breath and lightly tapped the table, saying, instead of returning to China at this time, it's better to take the 53rd Army and venture outside. In times of chaos, it is not impossible to create heroes. If possible, it is also possible to establish one's own influence abroad. As for Huaxia, perhaps we can look forward to helping each other in the future, if I have the ability. Having made this decision in his heart, Xia Zheng suddenly felt a wave of relaxation. But if you don't go back, at least there must be a place to stand, Xia Zheng murmured. As for the sincerity of the soldiers of the 53rd Army towards themselves, Xia Zheng has no doubt at all. This team was led by Xia Zheng alone, and Xia Zheng's words were the highest command. In fact, Xia Zheng had this idea a long time ago, but he couldn't leave until the end of the War of Resistance against Japan. Now that the Japanese army has surrendered, Xia Zheng has no worries. This foothold can be chosen in Southeast Asia, where there is constant war and chaos, which is just suitable for the development of the 53rd Army, Xia Zheng thought to himself. Just as he was pondering, a burst of electronic synthesized sound suddenly came to his mind. Ding! The activation of the divine level territory system has been successful, and the host has been successfully bound. A series of question marks suddenly popped up in Xia Zheng's mind. Quickly, Xia Zheng realized. I'm going, isn't this the standard feature of the crosser? My system only appeared at this time. Xia Zheng murmured faintly, it's just a bit late. The divine level territory system, the name of this thing sounds like it should be of great help to me in the future. After speaking, Xia Zheng couldn't wait to check the system that had just been activated. As Xia Zheng gradually understood this system, his eyes became brighter and brighter. The divine level territory system, in simple terms, means that the larger the territory controlled by the host, the more rewards can be continuously obtained. The system offers a variety of rewards, including weapons, skills, items, etc. This is simply a system tailored for the current Xia Zheng. This system came at the right time, Xia Zheng said in surprise. Just as I was about to doze off, someone came to deliver a pillow. With this system and the current foundation of the 53rd Army, it should be smoother to develop my territory. Expand your territory, acquire various weapons, and then use weapons to expand your territory, creating a perfect virtuous cycle. Ding! System task refreshed, the first system task has been generated. Task requirement. Successfully establish a foothold in the Golden Triangle region. Task completion reward. Novice gift pack. After hearing the content of the system task, Xia Zheng only felt a flash of inspiration in his mind. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Best choices. Take the 53rd Army to the Golden Triangle. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yeah, how could I forget about this place? Xia Zheng patted his forehead and said. The Golden Triangle is definitely a good place for the current 53rd Army. The Golden Triangle refers to a triangular area located on the border of Laos, Myanmar, and Siam in Southeast Asia. Because this place has long been rich in various drugs such as poppies, it has also become a major drug-producing area in the world. The Golden Triangle is famous for these drugs worldwide. The key is the Golden Triangle region, which has long been in a three-no-matter zone, where bullies run rampant and fish and dragons mix. As long as you have guns and power, you can dominate here. And as a traveler, Xia Zheng is also very aware that in the future, besides being a major drug-producing area, this place will also develop telecommunications fraud parks and so on. But anyone who is deceived here is basically destined to be squeezed to death. The Golden Triangle has gradually become synonymous with evil, and almost all those who can have a place here are people full of evil. So when it comes to dealing with them, Xia Zheng has no burden in his heart. In addition, this place is almost isolated from the world and is definitely a good place for developing forces. The entire Golden Triangle can be described as having blocked transportation and towering mountains. It is not an exaggeration to say that this place is isolated from the world. The Golden Triangle covers a total area of approximately 150,000 to 200,000 square kilometers. The undulating mountains here form a very three-dimensional climate condition. At the foot of the mountain, people can still feel the scorching heat, but at the top of the mountain, they may need to surround the campfire to keep warm and resist the cold. By comparison, the natural conditions in high-altitude areas here are much worse, so people's lives are also more difficult. Besides the mountains, there is also a very famous river here. That is the Mekong River. The Mekong River is another important geographical reason for the formation of the Golden Triangle. This river runs straight south from Qinghai in the northwest region of China. Along the way, we passed through 6 countries. China, Laos, Myanmar, Tea Country, Annam Country, and Cambodia. This river has a total length of 4,009 kilometers. The river cuts off the steep peaks of Mount Song in Southeast Asia, and with the numerous turbulent rivers and valleys between the mountains, it completes countless canyons and cliffs in the Golden Triangle region. In such a geographical environment, large areas of traffic blind spots are formed. Due to these special geographical reasons, the cultural and economic aspects of the Golden Triangle region have almost no connection with the outside world. For a long time, the governments of relevant countries have found it very difficult to have in-depth and effective control over the Golden Triangle region. All these factors combined have given rise to this land of sin. Of course, such terrain also has its advantages, which are easy to defend but difficult to attack. It is very easy and simple to defeat the Golden Triangle with the strength of the 53rd Army. Once decided, go to the Golden Triangle. Xia Zheng clapped his hands and immediately made a decision in his heart. Whether due to the unique terrain of the Golden Triangle or system tasks, it has become the best choice for Xia Zheng at present. After making up his mind, Xia Zheng immediately gathered the 53rd Army and rushed towards the Golden Triangle area in a grand manner. After half a month of rushing, the troops led by Xia Zheng have approached the Golden Triangle. So Xia Zheng expressed his thoughts to all the soldiers of the 53rd Army. Ladies and gentlemen, today I, Xia, want to tell you a decision, which is that I have decided not to return to my home country. I want to lead you to create a world outside. As for the reason why I don't want to return to my home country, I believe you will soon find out. Xia Zheng spoke in a deep voice. If you don't want to follow me, I won't stop you. You can go back now, and even report this matter to Commander Liu. If you are willing to always follow me, I would greatly welcome it. And I promise not to disappoint you either. Xia Zheng revealed his plans to the soldiers. But he just said he won't return to his home country, but he didn't have any plans to go anywhere. The soldiers of the 53rd Army were all lost in thought upon hearing Xia Zheng's words. Everyone, look at me, I look at you, but for a moment, there was no one standing up to speak. Oath to follow the commander to the death. At this moment, Jiangqing stood out first and shouted loudly. Oath to follow the commander to the death. Immediately after, Chu River also stood up. These two people have always been close confidants of Xia Zheng. They made such a decision, and Xia Zheng was not surprised at all. Subsequently, more and more people stood up. Soon, more than half of the soldiers in the 53rd Army expressed their sincerity and willingness to follow Xia Zheng towards the unknown future. As for the remaining soldiers, they stood still and did not move. Although they didn't explicitly state it, Xia Zheng already knew their choice. I still said that, this matter is entirely voluntary, Xia Zheng said. People who don't want to leave with me can leave now. Follow the path we came from and return to China. After seeing Xia Zheng say so, those soldiers glanced at each other and finally took a step to leave here. And all those who stayed were loyal to Xiongguo. The eyes of these soldiers were filled with passion at this moment, and Xia Zheng knew that it was their anticipation and longing for the unknown future. Just like himself. After all the soldiers who were about to return home had left, Xia Zheng led the 53rd Army towards the direction of the Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle, I'm here. P.S. New book upload, begging for all data support. Ask for a free flower, monthly pass, review ticket, and a 100 VIP reward. If there are any, please update immediately and keep your promises. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. Golden Triangle Standing. Kill the Drug Lord Saka. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Let's go. Looking at the nearly 20,000 remaining soldiers, Xia Zheng waved his arm and ordered. 20,000 soldiers quickly reorganized upon hearing Xia Zheng's order, but the team remained vast and mighty. Subsequently, while reviewing the map, Xia Zheng led the soldiers of the 53rd Army to the Golden Triangle area. After 3 days of trekking, the 53rd Army finally entered the Golden Triangle area. Here, there are layers of mountains and peaks, and at the foot of the mountain, the vegetation is very dense. And looking around, it turns out that all the crops planted in the targeted farmland are poppies. I have a natural understanding of this plant in summer. Before crossing over, Xia Zheng served as a special forces instructor and often engaged in combat with foreign drug traffickers. So my understanding of some drugs is far better than that of ordinary people. Poppy, this is a herbaceous plant with a 1-year growth period. Its stem is approximately 30.80 centimeters high, without branching, and has extended rough hairs. The leaves of poppy are alternate, with feather-like deep cracks, lobes lanceolate or strip-shaped, and rough hairs on both sides. Its flower bud is in the shape of an egg ball, with a long stem that droops when not in bloom. Once the flowers of poppies bloom, they are actually very gorgeous and beautiful, with strong ornamental value. However, its practicality is greater. For drug traffickers, these poppies are like gold. Poppy is the main raw material for making opium, and its extract is also the main source of more sedatives. For example, morphine, tibane, codeine, papaverine, and nadine. The scientific name of poppy is somniferum, which translates to hypnosis, which directly reflects the anesthetic properties of poppy. Seeing these poppies, Xia Zheng's anger began to rise in his heart. Just the poppy fields we see now have no less than 100 acres. With so many poppies, the amount of drugs produced is simply terrifying. And these drugs will be extremely harmful to people in the future. I don't know how many anti-drug police officers and special forces soldiers died at the gunpoint of these drug traffickers in order to confront them. Xia Zheng took a deep breath and gazed deeply at the scene in front of him, clenching his fists. Anyway, I will change the situation of the Golden Triangle and successfully establish myself here. Xia Zheng said silently in his heart. After a moment of emotion, Xia Zheng immediately spoke up and ordered, "Everyone, rest in place. Jiangqing, come over here for a moment." The other soldiers began to camp, and Xia Zheng also set his sights on Jiangqing. You can immediately arrange a team of reconnaissance soldiers to go deep into the Golden Triangle area to investigate information and remind them to pay attention to safety. Xia Zheng arranged to Jiangqing, you can shoot at critical moments without leaving your hands behind. Understood. Jiangqing immediately took orders. Quickly, a squad of reconnaissance soldiers left the team and delved deep into the Golden Triangle area. It only takes half a day. Jiangqing suddenly approached Xia Zheng with a dark face. "Captain, just now I learned from the local villagers that the soldiers in our squad were killed by the drug lord Saka here shortly after entering," Jiangqing said in a low voice. "These big drug lords have no intention of leaving any room, and they are also very resistant to our arrival." Upon hearing Jiangqing's words, Xia Zheng immediately became furious. "His mother, don't be shameful." Xia Zheng said angrily, "I was going to use some gentle means first, but since they have done this, they don't have to live. Starting from this Saka gang, immediately form a team and prepare for a strong attack." "Yes." Jiangqing received Xia Zheng's order and his astonishing killing intent erupted. After a simple investigation, Xia Zheng learned that the Saka gang only had about 1,000 troops and was just a local drug lord, unable to make a name for themselves. "You personally go and lead the 337 Regiment on the expedition, leaving no members of the Saka gang behind. I will destroy them all." Xia Zheng agreed. "Understood." Jiangqing nodded and agreed. Immediately afterwards, Jiangqing led 1,500 soldiers from the 337 Regiment to quickly reach the stronghold where the Saka gang was located. No surrender, no nonsense. The soldiers of the 337th Regiment launched a fierce attack directly on the Saka stronghold. Compared to the regular army, these drug traffickers are nothing. Kill. Jiangqing took the lead with his automatic submachine gun in his hand. Da-da-da-da. The dense bullets began to shuttle through the forest. The drug dealers who stayed in the forest didn't even understand what was going on, so they were hit by bullets and sent directly to the west. Saka is a small gang, and the firearms in the hands of drug traffickers are not particularly complete. Some people still use homemade hunting rifles. How could they possibly be opponents of the 53rd Army? In just a moment, dozens of drug lords in the forest were completely annihilated. With the battle here, the village of the Saka gang also became lively. Batch after batch of drug dealers rushed out with guns, only to be greeted by merciless bullets. One drug dealer after another fell into a pool of blood. This village was originally not big, after all, there were only over 1,000 people in total. Saka himself rushed out of the village carrying an M1 Garland semi-automatic rifle. Before he could rush to the door, he saw the well-equipped and astonishingly powerful 337 Regiment outside, and this guy was also confused. "Lie down. What the hell are you talking about?" Saka cursed, then turned around and wanted to run. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Luxury Beginner Gift Pack. 6th update. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, Jiangqing had already noticed Saka and picked up his rifle to aim at Saka. Saka just took a few steps out. Bang! The gunshot rang out, and a bullet hit his heart with precision and speechlessness. Saka's body, due to inertia, jumped out several meters before falling to the ground and dying. The other drug dealers saw that their boss was dead, and suddenly scattered and fled in all directions. Jiangqing snorted coldly upon seeing the situation. "Brothers, the cleaning operation has begun, no one will be left behind." "Yes." The soldiers of the 337th Regiment responded with a fierce intent and quickly chased after them. After more than 10 minutes, all the soldiers of the 337 Regiment returned, and all the drug trafficking forces in this village were cleaned up. The elite troops of the 53rd Army, who have experienced countless battles, can easily deal with the armed forces of the drug trafficking mob like Saka. It's very simple. After all, the military strength of drug traffickers is good enough to bully the common people. When encountering regular troops like the 53rd Army, the ultimate outcome is a dead end. Lao Li, you go report to the team leader, and the others clean up the battlefield. Although Li Xian is the commander of the 337th Regiment, Jiangqing is Xia Zheng's deputy. With Jiangqing here, it is natural to respect Jiangqing's commands. Understood. Li Xian nodded and turned to inform Xia Zheng. 10 minutes later. By the time Xia arrived at the village with his large army, the battlefield had already been almost cleaned up by the soldiers of the 337th Regiment. The bodies of drug traffickers have been all gathered together. Find some gasoline and set it on fire. Xia Zheng frowned slightly when he saw these corpses, then waved his hand and said, "Yes." Jiangqing agreed and immediately began arranging. Xia Zheng glanced briefly at the village, and the overall situation could only be described as dilapidated. However dilapidated it may be, the surrounding terrain is quite good, and it can be considered a nearby highland. The surrounding forests also provide good cover. The bodies of drug traffickers were gathered in a pile, and with the assistance of gasoline, the raging fire devoured everything. Nearly 20,000 soldiers of the 53rd Army stood neatly in the open space next to them, and the blazing fire accentuated their determination and authority. These soldiers are all powerful soldiers who have come from the battlefield to fight with blood and blood. "Brothers, it's my honor for Xia Zheng to come to this place with me. From today on, this is our place to stand." Xia Zheng's majestic voice echoed in the field. In the land of the Golden Triangle, where crime and bloodshed abound everywhere, we must start from here, carve out a path of blood, and establish our own territory. We share wealth and prosperity together, and when we encounter difficulties, we break them with the gun barrel in our hands. After Xia Zheng's encouragement, the morale of the soldiers present suddenly surged. Actually, many people who come here are aware that domestic warfare will eventually evolve into civil war. Everyone is holding the same mindset as Xia Zheng. Most importantly, General Xia Zheng is also worthy of their trust. Victory in battle. Victory in battle. Victory in battle. The voices of nearly 20,000 soldiers echoed in the field, their momentum soaring into the clouds. Great, then let's all work hard to set up camp and tidy up our territory. After speaking, Xia was looking towards Jiangqing and Chu River. The construction work is coordinated and commanded by Jiangqing. The surrounding security work is arranged uniformly by Chu River. Let's get started. The job of setting up camps is too skilled for the soldiers on the expedition. Moreover, the surroundings are surrounded by forests, and building wooden and thatched houses is simply a matter of holding hands for soldiers. Under the operation of Jiangqing and Chuha, the entire 53rd Army began to operate in an orderly manner. At the same time, the sound of the system also came to Xia Zheng's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for successfully completing the Golden Triangle mission and receiving the beginner's gift pack. Ding! The beginner's gift pack has been issued. Do you want to activate it? Open. Xia Zheng spoke without hesitation. Ding! The beginner gift package has been successfully opened. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an arsenal, an electronic map of resources, and hybrid rice seeds. The specific reward details can be viewed by the host on the system page. Upon hearing these rewards, Xia Zheng was completely stunned. Crouching slot. Arsenal. Resource map. Hybrid rice. Did I hear it right? Xia Zheng's eyes were round and he couldn't believe his ears. Ear. Even though the sound comes from your mind, what do you care about me? Xia Zheng, who had regained his senses, couldn't wait to open the system interface. A semi-transparent light curtain appeared in front of Xia Zheng, and the relevant reward introduction was immediately expanded. A complete arms factory, equipped with a Type 56 automatic rifle production line and a bullet production line, can meet the needs of large quantities of weapons and ammunition. Resource map. It can display various precious resources within a radius of 10 kilometers, including but not limited to minerals, herbs, flora and fauna. Hybrid rice. The seeds of hybrid rice in the new era can yield over 1,000 kilograms per mu. Rice has extremely high nutritional value and excellent taste. Note: this rice can only be successfully planted on the host's limited territory. Once it leaves the host's territory, it becomes a useless seed. After reading the introduction of these three rewards, Xia Zheng felt as if his life had reached its peak. I have just established myself in the Golden Triangle and received such generous rewards. If I develop in the future, what will I do? The key is to introduce these things, and as a traveler, Xia Zheng knows their enormous value even more. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Occupy North Burma. 53rd Army becomes Xia Family Army. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This reward really makes Xia Zheng very happy. Not to mention anything else, the Type 56 automatic rifle is a rare advanced rifle in this era. The Type 56 automatic rifle is one of the main standard light weapons belonging to the Chinese Army. The predecessor of this gun was the famous AK-47 assault rifle. This gun itself is a product of a replica AK-47 assault rifle, which was finalized and produced in 1956. In 1963, it was redesigned as the 56 rifle, and in 1980, it continued to improve to the 56.2 rifle until it was finalized as the QBZ-56C automatic rifle in 1991. Until Xia Zheng's modern service, this rifle was still active in the military. As an expeditionary force, the main weapon equipped by the 53rd Army is a type of American equipment. The M1 Garand semi-automatic rifle. Such equipment is already rampant in the current Golden Triangle region. However, compared to the Type 56 automatic rifle, the M1 Garand semi-automatic rifle ultimately lost to the word half. In contrast, the Type 56 automatic rifle has greater power, firepower, and fully automatic output, making it truly a ferocious weapon. As for resource maps, Xia Zheng used to play exploration games a lot, which was like opening up and hanging them directly. Xia Zheng opened the resource map with a nervous heart. The situation on the resource map suddenly appeared in front of Xia Zheng. Oh my goodness, gold mines, coal mines, iron ore, limestone. There are so many minerals within a radius of 10 kilometers. This is too crazy. Xia Zheng murmured in surprise, just mining a gold mine doesn't make much more money than drugs. With these mineral veins, the issues of military spending and production resources in the arsenal can all be solved. The system's reward is really thoughtful service. Another thing is the seeds of hybrid rice. With this, life after the 53rd Army is completely guaranteed. After all, people are iron, and food is steel. Not eating a meal can make one feel hungry. The rice seeds with a yield of 1,000 kilograms per acre, as long as they are properly planted and managed, not to mention the army that feeds 20,000 people, it is 100,000 people, and Xia Zheng can also afford to feed them. As for how to plant it, there are all fertile fields outside and local people around. As long as money is given to food, so that they have no worries about food and clothing, these people will naturally have enough labor force. Compared to the exploitation by drug traffickers, Xia Zheng believes that these local people will definitely make the right choice. The next day, Xia Zheng called Chu River to his side. What information can be found during the process of guarding the surroundings? Xia Zheng asked. Report to the team leader, currently we have a good understanding of the surrounding situation, Chu he reported. The drug dealer we removed is called Saka, who is the leader of the northern region of Myanmar. Currently, this criminal group has some scattered personnel operating in this area. However, we have already grasped their movements and can send troops at any time to fully capture the entire northern Myanmar region. After listening to Chu He's words, Xia Zheng nodded lightly. As the leader of the entire northern Myanmar region, it is not surprising that Saka has an armed force of over 1,000 people. Let's leave this matter to you to arrange and quickly control the entire northern Myanmar region in our own hands. Xia Zheng said in a deep voice, I don't want to see any assembly personnel from other forces on my territory, do you understand? Understood. Chu He immediately nodded in response to Xia Zheng's words. 3 days of time. All armed forces of the Saka criminal group in northern Myanmar were completely annihilated by soldiers of the 53rd Army. The entire northern Myanmar region has been fully captured by the 53rd Army. At the same time, under the arrangement of the Chu River, the soldiers of the 53rd Army quickly established defensive lines around the northern region of Myanmar to guard against personnel from other forces approaching. At this point, northern Myanmar became Xia Zheng's first territory after entering the Golden Triangle. 3 days later, the 53rd Army has completed setting up camp in the northern region of Myanmar. Although the wooden houses are simple, there must be no problem in sheltering from wind and rain. On the open space in the center of the campsite, the 53rd Army is once again gathering. Xia Zheng stood on the makeshift podium. The main generals of Jiangcheng, Chuha, and the 53rd Army all stood at the forefront of the team. At present, we have successfully established a foothold in northern Myanmar. This time, we will urgently bring everyone together, and there is one thing to announce. Xia Zheng took a deep breath and spoke softly. The soldiers present stood straight, waiting for Xia Zheng's words. This is the reorganization of the 53rd Army. Xia Zhenglang said in a loud voice. The codename 53rd Army is no longer suitable for us. Starting today, this army will be officially renamed as the Xia Family Army, which will be our own unit. The entire Xia Family Army has 3 divisions under its jurisdiction, namely the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd divisions. The commander of the 1st division is Jiang Cheng, the commander of the 2nd division is Chu He, and the commander of the 3rd division is Qin Hu. The regimental headquarters under the jurisdiction of the 3rd Division are divided by these 3 division commanders, who are also directly appointed by them. I hope the 3 of you can provide me with a detailed list of personnel transfers and plans within 1 day. Understood. Jiangcheng, Chuha, and Qin Hu all took command in unison. At this point, the Xia Family Army is officially established. On the evening, Jiangcheng delivered the directory to Xia Zheng on time. Xia Zheng just glanced briefly and then put it away. "Just as you're here, I have something I need you to do," Xia Zheng said softly. "Please command the commander." Jiangcheng bowed. "Tomorrow morning, you will lead the pair to various places in northern Myanmar to issue orders. From the moment the orders are issued, poppy cultivation must not occur in my territory." Xia Zheng spoke firmly. "This thing is just a huge stumbling block for us and has no meaning for our future development." Xia Zheng is very clear that planting poppy may have great benefits in the short term, but once it is contaminated, it is difficult to get rid of it. The raw materials of this drug are destined to be unable to establish themselves in the world in the future. By relying on this to make money, the Xia Family Army may have to continue to be warlords in the Golden Triangle. But it is obvious that Xia Zheng's ambition is not so. So the first command targeted at the face is drug prohibition. Not only should drug control be implemented in northern Myanmar, but once he takes the entire Golden Triangle into his pocket, the entire Golden Triangle will also be banned. Xia is going to completely change this place. After listening to Xia Zheng's arrangement, Jiangcheng hesitated and said, "But here, we don't grow opium." "What do we grow?" "Planting rice." Xia Zheng said without hesitation, "Grain is the top priority for our current cultivation. The system rewards enough hybrid rice seeds this time, which can even meet the needs of sowing in the entire Golden Triangle region, let alone in the small area of northern Myanmar. Remember, this is a ban, not a negotiation." Xia Zheng looked at Jiangcheng seriously and said, "You can punish him with kindness or use any other means. In the future, I don't want to see even a single poppy plant on my territory." "Yes." Jiangcheng felt Xia Zheng's awakening and naturally dared not neglect it. "P.S. Looking for a fresh flower, asking for a broken egg as a reward, do you have it? Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Issuing Drug Prohibition Order. Planting crows is prohibited in northern Myanmar. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A village in northern Myanmar. Jiangcheng arrived here with a team of fully armed soldiers. The village here is more than just dilapidated. Due to the local people being constantly exploited by drug traffickers, the dilapidated thatched houses are considered very good for sheltering from wind and rain. Many common people can only live in a dilapidated thatched hut. These naturally know that the northern region of Myanmar has changed hands, but they don't care. In this chaotic place, this situation often occurs, and the people have long been accustomed to it. No matter who becomes the master of this place, they are always just slaves. Seeing Jiangcheng leading a team to come, these people, regardless of gender, age, knelt on the ground to welcome them in order to survive. Everyone lowered their heads and dared not look up, fearing that it would displease Jiangcheng and the others. Faced with this scene, Jiangcheng frowned slightly. "You all stand up, I have something to announce." Jiangcheng took a deep breath, his clear voice echoing in the small village. Upon hearing Jiangcheng's words, the people exchanged a glance and then stood up in shock. Starting from today, this place will be under the control of the Xia family army. You are all the people under the jurisdiction of the Xia family army, Jiang Qing said in a deep voice. So, all you need to do for the Xia family army to obey the orders here is absolutely. Of course, we will not oppress you. We will try our best to improve your quality of life, so that you can live in the sunshine and no longer be slaves. Jiang Qing has said a lot, but there is not much that these people can hear. They have become completely numb. Seeing this group of people behave like this, Jiang Qing frowned. Now he understands that no matter how flashy he is at this moment, it's useless. Everything needs to be told with facts. So thunderous tactics are something that must be done in the early stages. Suo Xing Jiangqing is too lazy to talk nonsense. I hereby issue the first ban on the cultivation of poppies by the Xia family army. Starting from today, the Xia family army is not allowed to engage in any activities related to poppy cultivation in the area under their jurisdiction. Once discovered, severe punishment will be imposed. Jiang Qing said coldly, those who seriously violate the ban will be killed without mercy. After speaking, Jiang Qing turned his head to look at the soldiers behind him and said, cut off all the poppies and wait for centralized processing. Yes. The soldiers immediately took action upon hearing this. These people were stunned when they saw this scene. They also know how much money poppies make, and of course, they are aware of the dangers of poppies. Just those drug dealers don't care about these things just to make money. This is the first time the people here have seen an order to destroy poppies and prohibit their cultivation. At this time, the mentality of the people changed for the first time. This group of soldiers seems really different from those drug dealers. Watching all the poppies being cut down, the people dared not make a sound. Their emotions are very complicated at this moment. Planting these poppies is also their hard work, and it feels a bit regretful to be destroyed like this. But they had a vague expectation in their hearts. Because everyone knows that these poppies are the root cause. Not only that, Jiang Qing also ordered the collection of all the finished opium in the village. At this moment, the local people are also feeling a bit uneasy. Poppies are not allowed to grow, and the finished products are gone. How will they live after that? But soon Jiang Qing gave them the answer. Starting from today, all farmland under the jurisdiction of the Xia family army will be planted with rice, and we will distribute rice seeds for free, said Jiang Qing. As long as you plant with care, the yield of these rice plants per mu can reach over 1,000 kilograms, while our Xia army only needs 30% of it, and the rest is yours. So in one sentence, more work, more pay, less work, less gain. Your future life is entirely in your own hands. We will have dedicated personnel to train you on the relevant planting techniques. After listening to Jiang Qing's words, these people all widened their eyes. They have never heard of such a good thing before. Jiang Qing waved his hand and bags of rice seeds were all delivered to the hands of the people. Holding these rice seeds, the people present were somewhat surprised and at a loss. 3 days later, Kayokpiu held a destructed opium elimination ceremony, requiring all the people to be present. Those who violated the order will be severely punished. After Jiang Qing let go of his last words, he left with a fully loaded team. Only the local people looked at each other, they still needed time to accept this result. 3 days passed in an instant. Jiang Qing led a team to travel through all the villages in northern Myanmar. The collected finished opium and poppy accumulated nearly 5 tons. If such a large amount of drugs enter the market, the harm to the people can be imagined. The people who have received the ban naturally dare not act recklessly. Drug dealers can intimidate them, let alone the majestic Xia family army. 3 days later, Jiaopiao. All the soldiers of the 1st Division of the Xia family army surrounded the coastline here. All the people in northern Myanmar have been concentrated here. Xia Zheng stood on a makeshift wooden platform, watching these fearful civilians. However, Xia Zheng didn't say anything more, and he directly announced. The destructed opium ceremony has officially started. As Xia Zheng's voice spread, the soldiers of the 1st Division of the Xia family army became busy. Xia Zheng chose the same way of destructed opium sales as human destructed opium. Seawater immersion method. Kayokpiu is just near the sea, which can fully meet the conditions for destructed opium sales. The seawater immersion method involves first soaking opium in seawater, and finally stirring it with quicklime to fully dissolve the opium. Finally, by discharging these dissolved opium into the sea, complete destruction of opium can be achieved. The soldiers strictly followed the process of destructed opium control methods to carry out destructed opium control. Huge amounts of opium were destroyed. These things are all money in the eyes of those drug dealers. But here in Xia Zheng, it's just the root of evil. After all the opium is completely destroyed. Xia Zheng then looked at the people again. The seeds of rice have been given to you, and there is plenty of fertile land. This will be your livelihood in the future, Xia Zheng said slowly. Before the first round of rice arrives, our Xia family army will provide you with food, at least to ensure that you have enough to eat. Although rice cultivation is busy in the early stages, the harvest in the later stages is also enormous, which is the first step towards regularization in northern Myanmar. Besides planting time, our people will take you to build houses and villages at other times. If you don't want to continue being oppressed and enslaved by drug traffickers in the future, you should be clear about how to choose for yourself. The people looked at Xia Zheng and listened to his words, and for the first time, they had expectations for the future in their hearts. A comfortable and peaceful life was unimaginable for them before, but now it seems that there is hope. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. The reactions of the Golden Triangle drug dealers and warlords. Peace talks. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a manor located somewhere in the Golden Triangle. The various forces in the Golden Triangle are gathering together. This includes famous drug lords such as Lichima, Noakong, Mayuka, and the local warlord Kuncha in the Golden Triangle region. These people have already taken over all the forces in the Golden Triangle region. In the lobby, Kuncha sat at the top, scanning the other drug lords present. I think everyone already has a guess about why we gathered together today, Kuncha said in a deep voice. Since everyone has arrived, let's talk about it carefully. Upon hearing Kuncha's words, everyone exchanged glances. Noa Kong was the first to stand up and spoke softly. If you don't talk, then I'll talk about my thoughts first. The northern region of Myanmar has changed hands, and Saka's power has been uprooted by the sudden rise of the Xia family army. This so-called Xia family army is a huge threat to us. According to our investigation results in the past few days, the Xia family's army has a strength of around 30,000, and its leader is a young man named Xia Zheng. These people all come from China, and we are not sure what the specific purpose of coming here is. But just as they took control of northern Myanmar, they issued a drug ban order, which surprised me. With such a big cake of drugs, he said, don't touch it, don't touch it. Ordinary people can't do such a thing. Upon hearing Noakong's words, Mayuka shook her head and said, if it's just these 30,000 people, it's not really that much. The main reason is that their weapons and equipment are extremely advanced, and they are also regular troops. In this regard, we are really far behind. If we really start fighting, we may not even be able to achieve a win-win situation. His grandmother, Li Chima, cursed loudly. Xia Zheng must have some serious illness. He doesn't want to stay well in China and insists on coming to our Golden Triangle to join in the fun. Unfortunately, this guy started banning drugs as soon as he arrived, completely different from us. The conventional approach may not work for him. There is an old saying in Huaxia that goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will win every battle. Noa Kong spread out his hand and said, we still know too little about Xia Zheng now, we don't even know what he wants. Only by knowing his plan can we find a way to prescribe the right medicine. Listening to the voices of everyone's discussion, Kuncha squinted her eyes slightly and said, I understand. It seems that no one has the intention to fight, right? General, in terms of military and military strength, we are definitely your strongest. Mayuka raised his eyebrows and looked at Kuncha. If you are confident in fighting, then we will definitely be with you. That's right, Noah Khan also said, you have to decide on this matter. If I had the confidence to fight, I wouldn't be talking nonsense to you here, Kuncha replied coldly when he saw the two of them saying this. This Xia Zheng is bringing with him the expeditionary force of China. Although I have quite a few people, my equipment is still far behind. After speaking, Kuncha couldn't help but close her eyes and open them again, which had restored her calmness. Since we won't fight, let's make peace, Kuncha said. I'll send negotiators over and first touch Xia Zheng's mind. This is the best way. Noah Kong smiled slightly and said, if we can negotiate and work together to achieve great things, then it is naturally the best choice. Mayuka and Lichima naturally have no objections. To put it simply, they are just drug lords. Compared to the regular army, it's really much worse. North Myanmar, the headquarters of the Xia family army. Jiangqing suddenly found Xia Zheng. Report to commander, a person claiming to be a Kuncha warlord is seeking an audience outside and says he has something important to talk to you about, said Jiangqing. Oh. Xia Zheng raised his eyelids slightly. Their movements are quite fast. Let him in. Yes. Jiangqing received orders. Not long after, Jiangqing walked in with a person dressed in coarse linen clothes. The visitor was visibly stunned when they saw Xia Zheng. He never expected that the person leading such a large army would be a young man in his 20s. Commander Xia, the other party asked with some suspicion. Xia Zheng nodded lightly without speaking. Miao Luan had to introduce himself first and said, Hello Commander Xia, my name is Miao Luan and I am a subordinate of General Kuncha. I came to Guibao this time mainly to discuss important matters with Commander Xia. You said, Xia Zheng finally spoke and two words popped out. Miao Luan was not annoyed to see Xia Zheng so indifferent. It's not that he has a good temper, it's that he really dares not. Since entering the northern region of Myanmar, his journey has been heart-wrenching. The deterrence of the Xia family army is really too strong. General Kuncha learned that the Xia family army had occupied this place and specifically asked me to come over to congratulate him. Miao Luan took a deep breath and said, suppressing his fear in his heart. Commander Xia must have been unfamiliar with many things when he first arrived here, but we, General Kuncha, are different. To put it simply, this Golden Triangle region is like a huge treasure, and I don't need to say that Commander Xia must also understand the fundamental location of this treasure. General Kuncha has already reached an agreement with those businessmen, as long as Commander Xia agrees to peaceful coexistence between us. We are willing to give up 30% of the profit, which is a huge wealth, enough for Commander Xia to have a commanding presence here and worry-free food and clothing. Money, beauty, power, whatever you want, and you don't have to rely on Commander Xia's own efforts. This is a win-win situation. Listening to Miao Luan's bunch of nonsense, Xia Zheng suddenly laughed. Hee, it seems that you're just doing well at this point, Xia Zheng sneered, a group of things destined to be unattainable. Go back and tell Kuncha that I can't talk to him. I'm not afraid to tell you, what I want is the entire Golden Triangle, and it's a comprehensive anti-drug Golden Triangle. So our Xia family army and any existing forces in the Golden Triangle cannot coexist. Let Kuncha prepare for the battle. You. Miao Luan had something else to say. Jiangqing on the side has already raised his gun. Either get lost or die, you choose for yourself. Jiang Cheng's cold voice came out. Miao Luan was so frightened that he took 2 steps back and dared not speak again. I understand now, I will definitely pass on Commander Xia's words to our general. Miao Luan responded with a strong suppressed fear and left disheartened. Bastard! Xia slapped the table after hearing Miao Luan's report. This Xia Zheng is really toasting, not eating, and not punishing. Do you really think that if you have some strength, you can be lawless? It seems that Xia Zheng's ambition is not ordinary. Noah Kong clenched his fist and said, since we cannot coexist with the Xia family army, then we must fight. We are very familiar with the Golden Triangle, but the Xia family army is not. Mayuka said in a deep voice, if we really want to fight, we still have geographical advantages. If we can't fight in the end, both sides will be defeated, and his Xia family army won't be able to take advantage. I agree, it's over. Li Qima also raised his hand to vote. P.S. Is there anyone else watching? Kneeling down for all free data. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. Comprehensive Preparation. Xia is about to eat Jin San. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After receiving a firm response from Xia Zheng, Xia, Noakong, Mayuka, Li Qima, and others joined forces with other small drug lords to form the Golden Triangle Alliance, preparing to jointly resist the Xia family army. After final statistics, the total strength of the Golden Triangle Alliance reached a staggering 50,000. After obtaining this number, Xia and others couldn't help but feel a bit confident in their hearts. This is more than twice the strength of the Xia family army. Plus the advantage of geographical location. At least in Xia's own hearts, there is already a possibility of victory for their own side. The headquarters of the Xia family army in northern Myanmar. Xia Zheng did not rush to advance and went to war with the Golden Triangle Alliance. Before occupying the entire Golden Triangle, Xia Zheng must first assemble the Xia family army. After all, the occupation of the Golden Triangle is highly anticipated and will definitely attract international attention. Myanmar, Laos, and Siam will never be left unattended. So now the top priority for the Xia family army is to accumulate strength. The quickest way to enhance the overall strength of the Xia family army now is to exchange it for an arsenal, Xia Zheng calculated to himself. After all the equipment of the Xia family army is updated and replaced, the overall strength will definitely soar. After making up his mind, Xia Zheng immediately arranged for Jiangqing to find a relatively hidden open space deep in the Xia family's army base. Subsequently, Xia Zheng directly exchanged the arsenal for it. Jiangqing looked at the massive arsenal in front of him, his head completely numb. His brain clearly couldn't keep up with the rhythm. Commander, is this? Jiangqing looked at Xia Zheng in surprise. I won't be able to explain this to you clearly for a while. You just need to know that this is our Xia family's trump card and an important way for us to become stronger, Xia Zheng said in a deep voice. At present, there is one firearms production line and one ammunition production line in this arms factory. I need you to help me find some reliable brothers to be responsible for mining minerals and making weapons and ammunition. Upon hearing Xia Zheng's words, Jiangqing's eyes suddenly burst into a divine light. Since Xia Zheng has said so, Jiangqing will not ask any more questions. But Jiangqing knows exactly what this arms factory means. Please rest assured, Commander, I will definitely complete the task. Jiangqing immediately responded respectfully. Later, Jiangqing said somewhat confused, where are we going to find this mineral? Xia Zheng casually handed over the map he had already prepared to Jiangqing. The places marked above all have different mineral resources, and they are all within our territory, Xia Zheng said. I'll leave this task to you. Move quickly and be efficient. Understood. Jiangqing quickly saluted and responded. The sudden appearance of the arsenal was suppressed by Jiangqing, and all the soldiers who knew about its existence kept this secret in their hearts, without asking or saying much. As soldiers, they only need absolute obedience. Under the busyness of the soldiers of the 1st Division, 2 production lines in the arsenal quickly began working. As long as there are raw materials, these 2 production lines can continuously produce weapons and ammunition to meet the war needs of the Xia family army. After resolving the matter about the arsenal, Xia Zheng called Chu He and Qin Hu to his side. Send the order, and all the soldiers of the 2nd and 3rd Divisions will enter a state of readiness, preparing to attack other areas of the Golden Triangle and swallow up all the forces in the Golden Triangle in one fell swoop. Xia Zheng's majestic voice was heard. Understood. Chu He and Qin Hu immediately responded with a deep voice. At this moment, the sound of the system came back to Xia Zheng's mind. Ding! The system has released a new task to occupy the Golden Triangle. Ding! The system's new task reward has been announced. Completing the task will earn you 100 Type 59 tanks and an industrial package. Upon hearing these 2 consecutive system prompts, Xia Zheng immediately froze. He knows the Type 59 tank, but Xia Zheng has no idea what the industrial package is. The key is that the reward has not been issued yet, and there is no detailed introduction to the reward. What is the industrial package, system? Xia Zheng couldn't help but be curious and asked. Confidentiality Xia Zheng. Seeing the system not answering, Xia Zheng was too lazy to ask. Xia Zheng, who had regained his senses, looked at Chu He and Qin Hu and said, "Go down and prepare. Improve the combat effectiveness of the team as soon as possible, especially to help the soldiers adapt to the mountainous and jungle battlefield. The Golden Triangle is no more complex than the Great Plains, and battles will be even more complicated." Yes. Chu He and Qin Hu spoke in unison. Next. The entire Xia family army entered a state of intense preparation. The 1st Division led by Jiangqing not only ensures daily training, but also takes into account the 24-hour non-stop work of the arsenal. A series of Type 56 automatic rifles were produced and stored in the warehouse. The 2nd and 3rd Divisions, led by Chu River and Qin Hu, continuously conducted tactical training in the mountains and forests. There is a wide range of training content, including interspersed cover operations, hill climbing physical training, mine clearance training, and more. This is the difference between regular armies and drug traffickers. The training of regular troops is more systematic, with no hesitation in enforcing orders and prohibitions. Apart from Xia Zhejun's work and training, the people also recovered from the shock of destructed opium at the beginning. Everyone started planting rice under the leadership of several Xia family soldiers. Although there is a certain difference between planting rice and poppies, as long as there is planting experience and learning some skills, planting rice is actually not difficult. So for these people, they will soon be fully proficient. Moreover, in this process, there was no enslavement or oppression, and the Xia family army only maintained local order to prevent drug traffickers from invading other regions. This has made the people here feel a long-lost sense of stability and peace of mind. In such an atmosphere, everyone is full of enthusiasm. The entire northern Myanmar region is developing in a positive direction. Half a month later, the entire Xia family army has regrouped again. Brothers, the first batch of achievements after we have established our foothold in northern Myanmar have already come out, Xia Zheng said loudly from the podium. Lift it up. Soon, dozens of soldiers carrying a large pile of boxes walked into the field. Amidst the curious gazes of the soldiers, Xia Zheng jumped off the podium and arrived at a box. Opening the box, Xia Zheng took out a brand new Type 56 automatic rifle from inside. Seeing this gun, the soldiers showed a look of shock in their eyes. Of course, except for those soldiers who used to be busy in the arsenal. This rifle is called the Type 56 automatic rifle, and it is the first type of weapon independently produced by our Xia army's arsenal. Xia Zheng's voice spread throughout the audience. You heard me right, it's our Xia family army's own arsenal, and it's also the foundation for our future expansion of territory. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.